'Cause I'm back roads raised, some big soul, bonfire burning where the wild things go. Radio up with the window down, that's how we do it in a no-name town. Cornfield heart with a rebel blaze, living this life in 1,000 ways, but every mile I've ever made.
Okay, we're going to do something different this week. Like and subscribe. I don't even care anymore. I've been watching and talking to people and a few emails, enough to be concerning. We have quite a bit of people that are out there camping now, hunting, getting ready to hunt, checking out their spots where they want to hunt, and there's lots of talk of people following them, or people approaching them, or people stalking them while they're out in the woods and they're hunting, or like I said, just hiking, or even if you're just going out to, recenter, re-zero, taking your tent out and by yourself, just going out to get back to nature. You go out somewhere where you think you should be alone, there shouldn't be anybody else, and all of a sudden, be it in the middle of the day or at night after you're asleep, and you hear somebody approaching. You don't know if it's an animal or not, and then when it gets closer, you see a light, or you can hear the footsteps, and there's people approaching you in your tent when the tent's closed up, and, I hear a lot of this lately. So I took it one step further. I went on YouTube, and I know a bunch of YouTube stuff is made up and staged and whatever, but you can tell when you look at someone, especially if they have a decent camera, which is rare, but the people that are serious about doing the camping vlogs and stuff tend to have decent cameras, and there's certain things you can't fake. Reaction time, responses, autonomic, responses where your body does something that you have no control over, the way you snap and turn at a sound, the speed that you do that says usually if it's real or not. It's very hard to fake shaking and fear. And I have to tell you, some of these videos are convincing enough for me to say they might be real. But it's the same thing. People are camping. We're, hiking or whatever. First, I'd like to say that while I believe in equality, women out going hunting by themselves without even a dog, whether it be, what do they call it, van camping, I guess, or if they're in a tent or whatever, and they freak out when someone comes, they should freak out. But let's be honest about this. You don't go swimming around sharks with pork chops tied around your neck. So going out camping by yourself is kind of absurd. While I agree you have every right to do it, and while I agree you can probably survive out there every bit as good as I can, you can't defend yourself. If you get overpowered, you won't defend yourself. So I think it's absolutely ridiculous when I see a video of a woman being stalked or hiking or whatever because she was out there by herself. You shouldn't do it, okay? Not without some form of defense that you will use. Again, human nature, you're going to throw the gun before you shoot it. However, I firmly believe that you're out there, you need some form of self-defense, if for nothing else, against bears. And before someone says that we don't have bears, migratory, or not migratory, but their landscape's changing, their landscape is being encroached upon by construction and stuff. Bears are moving. Bears are in areas what no one would have ever thought they would be in. This is, humanity's fault. We're encroaching on their territory, so they have to move. So before I go further, if you haven't picked up on what this podcast is going to be about, I'm going to be talking about going out camping and being safe. And whether it has to do with the end of the world or if you're just going out for recreation, there's some things you need to know to be safe in the wilderness, okay? Don't know how long it's going to be yet. It's going to be as long as I feel like talking. Like I said, I'm getting kind of fed up right now with the way this podcast is going and the lack of participation, we'll say. So if this, and yeah, we're going to get a momentary echo every once in a while. I think I worked out just about all the sound problems except for one, and I'm still working on it. Back to the camping thing. Women camping by themselves is a mistake. And the first thing that really upsets me is when someone says, I'm out here by myself. No one else should be out here. Why is someone else out here? Well, first of all, lady, if you're out there, why is it so unusual someone else would be out there? Think a little bit. All right, this just proves the lack of thought and situational awareness exists when these people want to complain about I'm out camping and someone walked up on me or there's someone else out here. If you're out there, why wouldn't someone else be out there, you frickin' idiot? So right there, you're not thinking. Right there, your situational awareness is zero. If you're sitting there and someone has made it that close that you can see them and hear them and blah blah blah, you're sitting somewhere where someone else would be likely to appear. There's your first problem, all right? Second of all, you're by yourself. If they saw you by yourself, you're a target. You probably walked right by them. Third of all, you're going to be usually wearing bright colors and colors that contrast with nature, that don't blend with nature. So even if you run and hide, you're going to be found, you frickin' idiot. Okay? Now, there will be people that will say to you, well, if you need to be found, if you need to be rescued, and you're wearing green in the woods, they're never going to find you. All right, I'm not going to say touche there. There's nothing that says you can't carry an orange handkerchief or something like that in your pocket that you could pull out and, wrap around your head or whatever the hell you do with an orange handkerchief. There are ways, like I actually, when I camp, and this is going to be an epiphany to some people, which I still can't believe people are so stupid they don't think of this. When I camp, my primary gear, whatever I'm going to grab and go, if I have to grab and go, if there's a bear or something like that, or if I have to react to something, in my primary pack, my vest with all my gear and stuff on it, there is one of those vests like you see the guys at Amazon wearing, or the guys, FedEx or whoever, not FedEx, whoever people wear the road guard vest, the sleeveless zip-up bright vest. I always have one in there just for that reason. If an emergency happens and I need to be found, I can pull it out and put it on because I'm not a fucking idiot. But I am not going to wear colors that contrast with the wild when I'm out camping. Stalkers, crazy people, people are there to hurt you or rob you. They're not going to be wearing bright colors, I guarantee you, because they know what they're doing. They know how to get through the woods unseen. And again, excuse me, a lot of this is, again, on like YouTube that I've seen the actual things happening. I would say 85 to 90% of it is bullshit and set up and fake. But there's some of it that's real. And the ones that concern me the most are the ones with the women that are out there. I'm a woman, I can do it, blah, blah, blah. Well, you can do it, but, there's always base jumping. You can do that, but your chute might not open. You're taking a risk. But camping by yourself in the woods where you're far enough away that someone can't hear you scream is just fucking idiotic. So let's drill a little deeper into this. Some of the interviews that happened with females after this happened are so mind-numbingly alarming and stupid. There is a reoccurring pattern where the women that are doing this step over the safety boundary willingly and on some level have to be knowingly when the entire situation could have been avoided. And it goes something like this. They'll be talking to their camera after they survived the situation miraculously enough, and they'll be, their GoPro or whatever they're recording themselves with, and you come to realize very, very quickly, if you watch the whole video or if you just watch the end of it or whatever, they'll say something asinine like, yeah, I got out of the car at the parking lot before I started my hike, and there was a weird guy there, and he was watching me, and I started on the hike, and I saw him following me, so I thought I'd just get into the woods to try to get away from him. Or, I saw the weird guy, it was only me and him up there, and I just thought I'd go on the hike anyhow because I wasn't sure what he was doing. This goes beyond the lack of situational awareness. This is that whole, if a man can do it, I can do it thing that's going to get this to turn into a horrible situation. And yes, there are tons of them that come out and say, yeah, I was so glad I got back to my car without anything happening. Yes, I agree. God bless. They got back to their car and nothing happened. But there are also a great deal of situations where these women disappear and they're not found for months. This is a situation that should have been avoided, that common sense, and I hear myself saying it, common sense did not prevail. They saw a possible threat and they did not react. Instead, they just were oblivious to it. The other one that I hear watching this stuff, that really just, well, no, it's kind of the same thing, when they'll say, well, I'm going to go hiking, even though there's a weird guy watching me, I have every right to go hiking. Well, there's another side to that. That weird guy that's watching you might be absolutely batshit crazy. And in his mind, he has every right. In his mind, I'm not saying it's right, but in his mind, he's thinking he has every right to attack you and do horrible things to you out in the middle of the woods. His mind is as convinced as your mind, except he can overpower you. And that little thing of pepper spray that you keep in your pocket that you don't even have your hand on is not going to do much to a crazy person, believe it or not. You've got a little thing of pepper spray, or you got a rape whistle, which that probably just got me blocked on YouTube. But that whistle in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the woods, if it's a windy day or something like that, you can blow that whistle until your eyes shoot out of your head, and nobody's going to hear it or do anything. So I'm doing this segment of this episode hoping that if there are women listening to this that are convinced they need to go at it alone out in the woods or in their van out in the middle of nowhere, that they either you start using common sense, do something to increase their situational awareness, arm themselves, or for the love of God, at least take someone else with them. You have nothing to prove. You're proving nothing. Honest to God, if you come back and say, well, I saw him when I got out of the car, but I thought maybe if I got out into the woods, you're not, nobody's going to say, oh, you had every right to be there, you're so brave, No. In the back of everyone's mind, all they're thinking is, how fucking stupid are you? Okay? I see these things on TV, the YouTube, and I started looking into these stories that I'm hearing because of emails I was getting. And the ones that are real disturb me the most because of the lack of common sense and situational awareness, not because of how scared they were or because there was a crazy person out there, because there's a lot of crazy people out there. I don't go to Walmart unarmed anymore. Do you really think I'd even consider going into the woods where there could be some jackass, crazy lunatic out there? No. So if I'm going to be armed Walmart's probably more dangerous if we think about it. Let's face it, their security guard is an old Pablo with only one eye, limping, and Walkman on his head. That's Walmart security. He's not going to do anything to save your ass. So you might be safer out in the woods with a crazy man, but let's move on. There's a lot of these videos also with men, probably more with men. Again, complete lack of situational awareness. I see these guys, it's usually the ones that are the most scared and believable are the ones that are eventually end up in their tent shaking like like a wet cold dog, and they pull their Walmart camping knife out with their tent zipped up and their light on in their tent in the dark, filming. I don't know if they're hoping someone finds this, like, what was that movie, Blair Witch, found evidence video. I don't know what the hell these people are doing. But, okay, first of all, if you're in a tent, that if you know me at all, I don't call them tents, I call them wild bear burritos. If you're in a tent and you have a knife in your hand, make good with your maker. You've got nowhere to run, you've got nowhere to hide. And if you're an idiot and you have that light on, they can actually see where you are in the tent, and so on and so forth. But the thing that makes this bad for me, even worse for me, I should say, is they knew somebody was out there before they even put their tent up. Usually they'll say, I heard something, I saw something, somebody was walking in a weird way behind me. They'll be saying something to this effect, yet they still stop and put up a tent in the middle of no fucking where. And they go in the tent and they close the zipper and the door. They have no situational awareness at that point except for hearing. That's the only thing you can use. Which means you're not going to hear something until it's right on top of you. This is why I don't like the bear burritos. This is why, if you know me, you know if I'm going to be camping, by myself especially, which I haven't done for a few years, but if I was out camping, I would have a tarp lean-to set up, at best, if I was going to use anything. I would have a tarp lean-to set up. If there was anything weird going on, I wouldn't be setting it up. And if there was a thought or anything in the back of my head that there was something that was going to be going on, I wouldn't put a tarp on the ground because it makes too much noise when you move. I want to be able to hear what's going on around me. Yes, that means I would be sleeping on the dirt, and it's better than sleeping under the dirt 6 feet under. But even if I have a lean-to, I'm going to be able to see out of all sides, including the back of it, if I have to. If you're in a tent, even if you have a gun, if you're in a tent, what are you going to shoot at? You're going to hear a sound and you're going to shoot. That makes no sense at all. Shooting blindly, you're not aware of what's behind what you're shooting at. You don't know how far the bullet's going to go. You don't know anything like that. So this is, first of all, ridiculous from a safety level for others. But you can't see what's going on around you if you're in a tent. All that money you spent on that alpine, extreme, Arctic, 4-season camping, 30 below, blah, blah, blah. You're inside a tent, inside a sleeping bag. So first of all, you have no defensive mobility, even if something does come crashing into your tent, and you can't see anything. And if it's a 4-season tent, it's probably thicker, so you can't hear very well. I am dead set against tents. For this reason primarily, probably. But I would always recommend, I have always recommended, and I will always recommend, set up a lean-to, learn how to use your natural surroundings to block wind. Hold on, I need coffee. Oh, by the way, you know what kind of day it's going to be when you wake up, or you get your coffee done and you get up to your desk and you look in the coffee and there's a bug floating in your coffee. That's usually the sign it's going to be a pretty piss poor day, so buckle up. Hang on. I know a bunch of you want to be tough guy urban commandos. Right there, you'd see that coffee and you'd just say, screw it, pour it down the drain and go back to bed. Where people like me, if I can't fish it out on the third try, it's just extra protein. I'm going to drink the coffee with the bug in it. Screw it. I got it out on the second try, if anybody's wondering. But if it wouldn't have come out on the third try, it's just extra flavor for the coffee. That's all it is. But I want to go back to this, and this is, I know I'm harping on this, and I'm not, this isn't a fun or funny episode. Ones that I'm very serious about, ones that I'm very concerned about. When I see something so pathetically shocking, I'm not going to make light of it. I'm just dumbfounded. I've seen people being approached, and again, a lot of this shit's fake. You watch the YouTube videos; these things are set up. We saw one last night. These two guys with a drone found this community or whatever it was that was taped off or gated off or whatever because of some kind of biohazard or some bullshit, which was a total crock of shit, fabrication made up. But they showed this supposedly a soldier combating zombies. Their drone was filming it. And it was obviously not a military person. It was obviously not a zombie, but they tried to pass this off as real. So I'm just saying, a lot of these camping horror videos, it's a bunch of bullshit. Now, I'd like to touch on something that I've probably already said, and I'm going to say it again. How people truly think they can go out into the woods and they're going to be all alone. That they're going to get out to a point where they know no one is going to be there, and they completely let their guard down. I see half these people going out without any kind of protection, and I'm sorry, a 4-inch knife is not protection. And they go out, and then they're so shocked when there's someone else there, or they can see someone else. Let me tell you something there, Samantha. If you can get out there and you're there, why couldn't someone else be there with the same thoughts? The same idea. So you're not this edge-cutting person with a great idea. Everyone can have that same idea. The problem is your idea of what you're going to be doing when you're out there might be completely different of what a crazy person is thinking they're going to do if they run into somebody out there. They're going to be faster. They have the drop on you because they already know what they want to do. You have no idea what's going on. And at this point, all you're thinking about is, do I pack or do I go? And all they're thinking about is their mission oriented to do harm to you. They have one thought on their mind. You've got a million thoughts on your mind. You've got to make some decisions really quick. And they're already engaged in what they're going to do. You're probably not going to win. And the only way you're going to win is if they're a first-time crazy and they get cold feet at the last second. When I say Samantha, I'm not just directing this at women. I'm directing this at men, by the way. Your camera is not going to save you. Your yelling is not going to save you because nobody's going to hear it except a crazy person, and they don't give a shit. You have nothing. And God love you, man. If you have some kind of protection, like a gun or something, but don't consider a knife protection. You see people drawing their knife like they're going to defend themselves. You're not going to defend yourself with a knife. You don't know how to use a knife. There's a really good chance you've got a better chance of falling on the knife and hurting yourself than hurting someone else. So I always say it's a bad day to get shot with your own gun. It's a worse day to get stabbed with your own knife. Trust me. I've been stabbed in the arm. It's not a good feeling. So just this whole camping thing, I'm so shocked by the frequency in which this happens, where people are out in the woods and they get walked up on, and it's going to happen. It's going to happen because you're not prepared and you have no situational awareness. So let's go over a few precautionary steps, because y'all don't have any freaking common sense. If you get to a trailhead in a parking lot and you get out of your car, stop, wait, listen, look. And when you're done, stop, wait, listen, and look. Most of the time, anything that's going to hurt you or anything that's going to happen is already there. Someone that's also just sitting there waiting for you to leave, checking you out, getting in their car, getting out of their car, or just sitting in their car watching you. Hey, Bucky, that's a major red flag. Male, female, it doesn't matter what you are. Don't get out of your car. Or get back into your car and leave. Don't go for the hike. It's not worth it. I don't care if you drove 6 hours. It's not worth it, okay? Let's say you get out there, you see an empty car, at the trailhead. Could it be other hikers? It could absolutely be other hikers. But it could also be a crazy person set up along the trail. Now, I'm not trying to discourage anyone from hiking or anything like that. Obviously, I really don't want to discourage that. But in this day and age, there's a whole new level of situational awareness that must be present. And I'm just talking enough to give you a chance to survive if something happens. Like I said, it could be other hikers, but it might not be other hikers. You might want to wait a little while, see if someone comes back. Or you might want to consider looking for another trail to hike. Someone's sitting in ambush, you're never going to see them. They know what they're doing. All you're thinking about is walking, avoiding rattlesnakes, not walking into a tree, am I on the right trail? You're not thinking there's a camouflage guy up there in the bushes waiting for me. I, myself, if I pulled up on a trailhead and I wanted to get out and hike and there was an empty car sitting there, I'd go over and touch the hood and see how warm it is. Did they just go in? Or should they just be ahead of me? Is that hood cold? I want to know everything that's going on and all my options before I consider anything. I will be armed. I will not be unarmed if I'm going hiking. So I have that to my advantage. Although they still have the drop on me. If they want to attack, when I'm out there hiking, they already have the drop on me. They're in hiding. I'm not going to see them until they're on top of me if they attack. But you need to be aware. You need to know what's going on. At least armed with some situational information. I'm going to heavily recommend to those of you that are more of the meek than the strong and the fighting, and yes, the air conditioning just kicked on, more of the meek breed, avoid the situation entirely. There's nothing there worth proving or doing. And if you think it's a bigger disgrace to come home and for someone to say, how was your hike? And you have to say, I didn't do it. There was something weird. It felt wrong. I didn't do it. If you think that makes you look weak or foolish or whatever, you're a sad person. You're looking to glom on to some kind of fame or glory for standing up and doing what you wanted to do, even though it looked like it was dangerous. You're a fool. You're an absolute fool. If something tells you something's wrong, don't do it. Men, women, doesn't matter. And if it's a mother with some kids, especially, if you pull up and something doesn't look right, get the fuck back in the car. I'm so sick of this shit. The stories and stuff of these people pushing on when they say, we got out of the car and something didn't look right, but the kids really wanted to hike. Fuck you. You're a horrible parent. There are crazy people out there, and there are more than ever. And they know if you're a couple clicks into the woods, for those of you that don't know, let's just say really far. If you're a couple clicks into the woods, they know you've got no chance of screaming for help. Your cell phone probably isn't going to work anymore. You're screwed. Hang on. Freaking computer timed out. I can't see the screen or what it's doing. I don't know why I started doing that all of a sudden, but every once in a while it just times out on me. What I was saying is oh God, that's what I'm saying. Unfortunately, the state of current affairs, things aren't safe like they used to be. Things aren't safe like when we grew up. those of you that are of my age group, um, it's just not safe. It's not worth it. There's nothing you're going to see out there on a nature trail worth risking yourself, someone you love, your kids, your pets. Um, this is another thing you got to consider on these hikes and camping trips that people go on. Wild animals, their places where they live are being taken away from them. Their habitats due to construction and all this happy crap that's going up. So you don't know that there isn't going to be a bear out there. You don't know that there isn't going to start to be rattlesnakes or copperheads or something out there where 20 years ago there wasn't. You have no way of knowing. If you have a dog and you're one of those idiots that likes to run them off leash out in the woods and they hear a bear or something, they're gone. You're not going to stop that. If they're not on a leash, they're gone. Coffee time. God damn, that's good coffee. There's no way to stop that. That's just nature. And I will tell you from personal experience, if there is a rattlesnake across the trail and it's sunning and it's not in defensive mode, you're not going to know that snake is there until you're right on top of it or stepping on it. If you step on it and you're by yourself and you're a couple miles into the woods or a mile or two into the woods, the only thing you can do is maybe wrap a tourniquet below the closest joint between the heart and the injury and turn back, because you're not experienced and you don't know what you're looking for. If you don't know what kind of snake bit you, it's better to just turn around and go back. If you're not sure if it was a rattlesnake, it's not going to do shit for you when you get to the hospital if you can't identify what snake bit you. But if you're dumb enough to go out into the woods and wilderness and not learn about this stuff, you might get bit. But you really need to be aware, of your natural surroundings. It's not just crazy people now. It's nature. We've encroached on nature. Well, now nature's encroaching on us. And I'm going to tell you, nature always wins. So let's move on to the next one. The bears. I see, what is it, a 50-50 camp on lay down and ball up and the bear will leave, sniff you and leave you alone, or make as big of a scene as you can and be as loud as you can and clack on rocks and do whatever you want to do to try to scare this bear yelling. Man, most bears are curious. Most bears aren't going to attack you. If a bear is attacking you, it's a mama bear probably, and you're somewhere near her cubs, and you're not going to win that. That bear's going to win. That bear is faster than you. It weighs close to a ton, and she's protecting her young like you should have been protecting your young now that are scattering into the trees because you walked up on a mother bear with you and your two little kiddos. You're not going to win that. That bear's going to win. Bear can climb trees. There's nowhere you're going to go to get away from that bear. This goes for men and women alike, but this is one of those things where you want to take your 10-year-olds out in the woods for the first time and you're going to teach them how to be a man because you used to be a Boy Scout. Bears don't care. Bears don't care. You walk up on a mama bear and her cubs, you've got your problem's going to be over soon enough. The reason you did this was because you didn't take the time to learn when bears are out there with their cubs, because you didn't take the time to learn. Well, they should have given birth, a couple weeks ago or a month ago, so they are going to be out with cubs. I'm not going out in the woods. There's a chance there's bear out there with cubs. I'm not going out in the woods. That's a logical approach. I did my research. I found out that the bear, this is the time of year they have their cubs and stuff. There's nothing out there in the woods that I got to go see. What's out there that, what are you going to see? A tree, a pine cone, a rock? Was it worth it? No. So these people are going out and encountering bear. And what do you do when you see a bear? The bear spray. Yeah, the bear spray works sometimes. But you more got to get it in the eyes than anything. If a bear is charging, or a bear is huffing and grunting, if you don't get that bear in the eyes, it's really probably not going to chase it away. It's probably going to charge through it, and then you're screwed. Plus, the bear's going to be pissed when it gets to you because you tried to spray it. If you encounter a bear, what's the smartest thing you can do? I don't know what to tell you. I know what I would do. I'm not going to tell you because if it's wrong, I just told you the wrong thing and you got killed by a mama bear. Like I said, some people say to lay down in a ball. That just makes it easier for the bear to drag you back to its cubs and tear you apart and eat you. You want to stand there and scream? That just tells the bear you're vibrant, healthy, and good meat. But I guess it's something. At least you didn't stand there and wait for the inevitable. You can say you went out fighting, when you go on to the next level of consciousness and meet God, and He's laughing at you because you walked up to a bear and her cubs. And you can say, well, at least I went out screaming, you got that going for you. So I don't understand why people are out in the woods during that time of the year when the bear are out there with their cubs. I don't understand it. I can't wrap my head around it, why people wouldn't check for that. I can't wrap my head around the fact that people can't figure out that there could be bear out there now, since we just tore down 250 acres of their natural habitat. Why would there be a bear in a forest adjacent to where we tore down their habitat? I just can't see why people can't figure that out. People are so numb from the neck up. It's so pathetic. But this whole disasters when camping and hiking thing, I'm going to tell you, based on everything I've seen and based on everything I've read, I would say 99% of the things that have happened to people that have been hiking and camping could have been avoided. They could have been avoided. And the things that happen to women when they're out there alone, appalling, disgusting, should have been avoided. They were proving something they didn't need to prove. Yeah, we get it. You're a woman. You're out in the woods alone. Woo, woo, woo. What did that do for you? You want a YouTube channel so you don't have to work a real job. You get enough followers that you make just enough money to survive. Man, is it worth it? Is it worth it? But hey, you be you. You do you. But stop looking for sympathy and a shoulder to cry on every time you get approached by a stranger and it freaks you out. You're an idiot. And men, same thing. Going out where you shouldn't be, the stealth camping bullshit, not impressed at all. I am not impressed at all. Stealth campers are lawbreakers. You're not impressing me. The fact that you didn't get caught by some 80-year-old security guard in a vehicle, or some 80-year-old security guard walking his rounds with the flashlight and you didn't get caught, I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed at all. Try stealth camping in my backyard. If you get away with that, I'll be impressed. I will be very impressed. If you get away with stealth camping in my backyard, that's something for you to brag about there, bucko. But these guys that go out where, they know that there's old security guards and no security guards, and they call it stealth camping. That's not stealth camping. You're just illegally camping. You're trespassing and camping. But yeah, that's the other element of this whole camping shit thing that I'm talking about. So I guess what I'm saying, I'm going to wrap this up. I guess what I'm saying is this shit that happens, this horrible shit that happens to people, can be avoided altogether. Shouldn't happen. Should have never happened. Most of it happens because of arrogance and ignorance. Two qualities I'm not fond of in anyone. The 1% of the things that happens when it shouldn't happen probably still could have been avoided. But situational awareness is key in the woods. It's key anywhere. But situational awareness also means getting back in your car and leaving, not pushing on until shit happens. And if you're too thick to absorb this, I'm not going to say you deserve what happens, but I'm not going to feel sorry for you if it does. You just start thinking more. The environment we live in has changed. It's not safe anymore. There's nothing safe, nothing guaranteed. I mean, you're not even safe going to church anymore, for Pete's sake. Why do you think you'd be safe walking into the wild? They call it the wild for a reason. So, enough. I've said enough. I've got it off my chest. If you persist in doing these things, like I said, I'm not going to feel bad for you. So, start watching your six and peace out.